Welcome to your Season 23 Blaseball weather update. This is the mid-season forecast. Warning: this video contains forbidden knowledge. Stop watching now if you do not wish to access hidden information. This video would not have been possible without the work of the Society for Internet Blaseball Research. What's the point in a weather forecast when the weather can change to anything it wants? Who knows, but I'll keep going. Flooding and jazz remain joint first for most frequent weather in the mid-season, with Sun 2, solar eclipses and black hole all within one game of each other, in that order. The percentage of solar eclipses has doubled from the Earl season, and with jazz creating more of them, we may need to watch out. Tokyo will host the most reverb, with Breckenridge seeing the most salmon and Houston the most black holes. Kansas City has the most some sun, Chicago the most jazz, Canada the most flooding, and Hades will host the most blood rain. Stay tuned for a team-by-team breakdown after this jazz number. The introduction of jazz to Blaseball has really shaken things up. There are only 4 weathers it has not yet riffed into play, but it would appear that the numbers it is fondest of are some sun, flooding, and solar eclipses. The Lift have 4 chances to use psychoacoustics and echo chamber, as they play the most reverb games of any team. They also get 4 chances to use flood balloons, but jazz will be their most common weather. They also play the only polarity game of the mid-season. The Fridays can only use one of their modifications, but get 6 chances to see flood pumps in action. Black holes are their highest weather. The Mechanics have 8 games in which to utilise flood pumps and balloons, and unsurprisingly from this, flooding is their most common weather. The Garages can also only use one modification, with 4 flooding games, but it is Sun 2 that is their most frequent weather. The Lovers get 1 game each for LCD sound system and sweetener, whilst seeing flooding as their highest weather. The Tacos have 3 chances to use heat magnet, and also see 3 games from their increaser, leading to 7 Sun 2 games overall. Their most frequent weather is jazz. The Magic will play 1 Birds game, 3 Sun 2 games, and 2 solar eclipse games for their renovations. Their most common weather is also jazz. The Sunbeams have 1 opportunity to use psychoacoustics and echo chamber, whilst gaining 3 salmon games. It is flooding that will be their highest weather. Of all their renovations, the Jazz Hands only see use from their increaser, granting them 2 games. Their most frequent weather is flooding, but they will play in the only polarity game of the mid-season. The Stakes get 1 sweetener game, 2 flood pump games, and 1 blood rain game. Their highest weather is flooding, and they also play the most Sun Point 1 games of any team. The Spies have 1 chance to use LCD sound system, and are granted 3 solar eclipse games. Their most common weather is jazz. The Wild Wings have 2 coffee games to keep sweet, and play 4 games for flood pumps and balloons, whilst being granted 3 Sun 2 games. Jazz will be their highest weather. The Breath Mints play 1 game each for psychoacoustics and echo chamber and anti-flood pumps, but their most frequent weather is Sun 2. The Firefighters have 2 coffee games for their sweetener, but will also play the most jazz games of any team, and it is their highest weather. The Worms get 2 chances each for birdhouses and flood pumps, and will play 3 black hole games at home, increasing to 9 overall, making it their most common weather. The Moist Talkers are back in business as they play 9 flooding games at home and 12 overall, making it their most frequent weather. The Flowers play 2 games for solar panels and 5 for flood pumps. Flooding and solar eclipse are their joint highest weather, and they play more games of solar eclipse than any other team. The Millennials get 4 solar panel games and 3 flood pump games. Their most frequent weathers are black holes, flooding, and jazz. The Pies play just 1 Birds game in the whole mid-season, leaving some very lonely feathered friends. They do play the most flooding games of any team, and it is their most common weather. The Crabs are once again keeping busy, with 1 game for psychoacoustics, 6 for flood pumps, 3 for heat magnet, 4 for event horizon, and 1 for birdhouses. They play 5 black hole games overall, but it is jazz which is their most frequent weather. The Shoe Thieves have 1 chance to use psychoacoustics and 2 to use event horizon. Flooding is their most common weather. The Georges have 1 game each for event horizon, birdhouses, and from their increaser. Their most common weathers are solar eclipses and jazz. The Dallets sadly can't use a single renovation in the mid-season, but this may change as their most frequent weather is jazz. The Tigers play 2 games for heat magnet and 8 for flood balloons. They see 5 games from their increaser, meaning they play the most blood rain games of any team. They'll have 4 solar eclipse games overall, but flooding is their highest weather. Thanks for tuning into the weather. I'll be back with the late season forecast on Thursday, but until then, rejoice, play ball.